Scott Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong are strongly urged to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
And welcome to the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStream Sports on this thirsty Thursday. Ah, yes, it is hot, sweaty, muggy outside. Going to be a lot of drinking today. You to pick your alcohol beverage of choice. Mine, Budweiser. Yours truly sitting in for the next 90 minutes, hour and a half or so, looking at the world of sports, a little baseball, some football, basketball, more MMA, a little bit of soccer, and some golf, as well as we have the Open Championship getting underway. First round just finishing up. A few golfers still on the course. We'll get to that, obviously, over the next 90 minutes, as well as your emails, your tweets, and go to the YouTube page, the Scott Wetzel Show. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, and we can converse back and forth with some messaging over the next hour and a half or so. My buddy Joe Lisi over at Sports Grid, Go for the Tube podcast, will join us as well. Do a little college football. Never too early to get into that, so we'll talk to Joe about that and plenty of other things. So plenty to get to today. What are we going to talk about, Scott? Open Championship is underway. You make the call. Time to utter those 5 dastardly words that we always have to say. 4-letter network. Who cares? And a story that is just I still don't believe it. It can't possibly be true. So we'll get to all that stuff. Like I said, emails and some tweets and the YouTube chat on our YouTube page, The Scott Wetzel Show. So golf is underway. Open Championship. We have not exactly a great leaderboard at this point, but, when you have the goofy tournament like the Open Championship, that's what you're going to get. I never quite understood who was the genius that decided that we're going to put 6-foot holes in the middle of the golf course. Yeah, that's a good idea. Not in the far right, not in the left, right smack in the middle. We're going to put this 6-foot hole. And if anyone lands in that, well, good luck getting out. So Open Championship has always been, here in the States, the last one, right? The goofy one. We care about the Masters. We care about the U.S. Open, PGA Championship to a lesser extent. The Open Championship, maybe because it's not here, on our country, but it's, elsewhere. So in this case, it's over in England, Southport, England. So it's a par 70 course, not very long. 7,200 yards for a major is not long at all. And it's really a short course, to tell you the truth. So because of that, we got some, not that familiar names top the leaderboard. Jackson Suber is the leader at 5 under. He's in the clubhouse shooting a 65 today. Daniel Brown, and Sungjae Im and Pearson Cody, who knows? Who the fudge are these people, right? They're all tied for second place at 4 under par. Thomas Derby, stop me when I get to a familiar name. Robert McIntyre, he's not too bad. Francisco Molinari, he's not too bad. We've heard of him. Bryson DeChambeau is in a clubhouse at 3 under par. Not a bad tournament for him. He's had his struggles certainly this year. So far, so good. Shooting a 67. Scotty Scheffler, not bad. Shot a 2 under 68. He's among a group of about a dozen or so golfers that are 2 under par. Long ways to go. We haven't even finished up the first round. But, for those that like to project who makes the cut, who doesn't make the cut, figures to be right around +1 or so. +1, maybe +2. Depending on how many people are tied for +1. Right now, you got about 30 people tied at +1 at the 61st place. So, not that many like big names that are in danger of missing the cut, at least not at this point. You got a few. Wyndham Clark's +2. Matt Fitzpatrick is +2, which is surprising. Jordan Spieth is +3. Jason Day +3. Well, I looked at this about a half hour ago, and I said those initial things like, boy, not too many big-name players. Now that I look at it again, I'm rattling them off more and more. So I actually, let me correct myself. Maybe there are a few guys that are actually in danger of making a cut. There's my guy Justin Rose. Black Couch Snipes again. I knew we were in trouble when I saw the first 20-25 names and I didn't see Justin Rose. This dude is always, always, always on the leaderboard. I mean, he never wins, but he's always in the top 10. Forget about top 10. He's always in the top 5. We bet him. Shoots a +5 today. 5 over par. Oh, good gravy. He's not even making the cut, let alone win the tournament. Unbelievable. Joaquin Niemann, yeah, listen, they added a whole bunch of names over the last, like I said, I looked at this 45 minutes ago, maybe not a half hour, about 45 minutes ago. Now you got Justin Rose probably not making the cut. You got Stuart Sink not making the cut. He's an oldie but a goodie. Darren Clark +3, maybe not making a cut. Spieth, Day, David Duval, an oldie but a goodie, not making a cut at this point. +2. McIlroy is +2. He's still on his 13th hole or through 13. Him and Fitzpatrick, they got a little ways to go. Patrick Reed is +3 through 16. We've added on to quite a few more bigger names. I tell you what, who's doing the broadcast this year? ABC or NBC. They're not going to be too thrilled with a Jackson Suber, Daniel Brown, Pearson Coody final 3. I'll tell you that. Things better change. Otherwise, nobody is watching this. And, it's funny. I don't golf. I don't bet golf much. A little bit, the majors, right? And even this one, I didn't bet that much between the World Cup soccer and the baseball stuff that we did with the second half over unders. For whatever reason, no particular reason, I just didn't get into the betting this one, right? And like I said, generally speaking, I'm not a big golf bettor anyway. So I don't mind looking around the websites and figuring out who's got who, right? So I go on the 4-letter network and just to get some information on the British Open, right? And they say expert picks. Okay, let me hit that icon. Let's see what they got. So they have a bunch of the hosts give their picks. They don't know more than me, so forget about them. But they isolate somebody else, a Pamela Maldonado. Okay, so she got like 10 paragraphs. So I'm figuring out she's their golfing expert. Let's see what she has, right? So she has different kind of bets, whatever. And then she says she lists them on the categories. My favorite Scotty Scheffler bet, round 1, over 68.5, +102 odds. Okay, he usually is a slow starter. Then I read her description. Course is expected to play firm and fast, means even a great ball striker like Scheffler is going to be firing at every single pin. He's coming off a missed cut at the Scottish Open. His edge is consistency. He's never a great opening round starter. Based on his season average, he'd need to outperform his normal average by 1.5 strokes. And I'm thinking, all right, all this stuff makes sense. He is a slow starter. So, over 68, that's 3 over par. Or 3 under par. I mean, that's just generally not Scotty Scheffler, right? So I like everything. Yeah, maybe I'll bet this, right? Then the final sentence of her little paragraph. The plus money is what makes this interesting. And the bells and whistles went off. And nothing against her, nothing against the 4-letter network for this segment, but I've mentioned this many times on the podcast and Sports Grid, and you'll hear it here from me as well many times. The moment you read a betting analyst give a pick based on the odds he's getting is the moment you close the book and run the other way. Why? Because that means that person doesn't really like the bet. The only reason they're betting it is because they like the odds. But the boys in Vegas, they're enticing you. They're teasing you. They're sticking that carrot in front of you. They want to entice you to bet Scotty Scheffler if they're going to give you odds. You're falling right into the trap. You're telling me that if the bet was over 68.5, -130, we'll say, or maybe -140, you wouldn't make the bet? Yeah, I wouldn't make the bet. So the only reason you're making the bet is because you're getting +102 odds, which isn't a lot of odds, obviously, right? That the plus money is what makes this interesting. Then don't bet it, honey. Don't bet it. Pick up a cookbook. You're an amateur. You're an amateur. You got suckered in by the boys in Vegas. That's what they want you to think. They want to give you odds where you're going to say, I really don't like this bet, but gee, if you're going to give me plus 102, okay, you know what? I'll make the bet. And 9 times out of 10, when you do that, you lose because it is a bad bet. Don't ask how, but the boys in Vegas know how these things are going to play out. So the moment, whether it's, I'm getting 6.5, boy, that's a pretty good line. Well, okay, I'll take 6.5. Would you bet if it was 4.5? No, I'm not going to bet if it's 4.5. So what do you think, they're going to lose by 5? No, but I'll take the 6.5. No, that means you really don't like the bet. I've mentioned this story many times, and it's like one of those epiphany moments for me, right? Youngster in high school, going to a racetrack with a buddy of mine, and we're sitting down. We'll just say it was the 5th race. Doesn't matter what race it was, right? And he says, all right, pick a horse, Scott, then we'll go to the window. All right, what about you? Oh, yeah, I already got my horse. Okay. 5 minutes go by. I got my horse. I'm like, okay, let's go to the window. I'm all set. He says, no, I got to still pick my horse. And I'm like, I thought you just told me you had a horse already. Yeah, but the odds changed. He's not 8-1 anymore. He's down to 6-1 or 5-1. So you like the horse? You like the horse? No, I don't like the horse. If I'm not getting 8-1, I'm not, I like them at 8-1, but not 5-1. Why? It makes no difference. The horse doesn't know the odds. It's the same horse, the same components of the racetrack, the same distance of the track, the same other horses. Nothing changed except the odds. You liked it at 8-1, but you don't like the horse at 5-1, which means you really don't like the horse. Wouldn't you rather have a winner at 5-1 than a loser at 50-1? And that's what I mean by this. You only like the Scheffler bet because you were getting odds. If it was minus 110, 120, you wouldn't make the bet. So don't make the bet. We all do hunches. I'd be lying if there was a gambler out there that didn't say, wow, I can get this. I'll take a hunch on it. Yeah, why not? I'll take a flyer. And if that's all this was, then okay. But, her favorite one is generally not a hunch. Your favorites are your best bets, and the best bets shouldn't be hunches. And if they are, then you really should run the other way. So I just laughed because he shot a 68. It was a loser. Right? She needed over 68.5. He shot a 68. She lost her bet. But she had great value. Oh, she'll walk away from that bet saying, boy, but that over 68.5 at plus money, boy, that was a good bet. That was a great bet. I just got unlucky. I got this. I got that. No, they suckered you in. So anytime, male, female, 4-letter network, Fox, Pickett's website, if you hear that person say they like the bet because of the odds, then just know it's a hunch. That's all. And like I said, we can all play hunches, but don't make it a best bet. And to me, that's an amateur play. As soon as I hear that, then I know that person's an amateur. Unless they specify, we'll take a flyer on it. We'll do a little hunch bet. Otherwise, forget about it. So anyway, late first round, and we got a bunch of nobodies sitting atop the leaderboard. I don't even know if John Gerber, our good buddy here at FanStream Sports, I don't even know if he knows who these guys are. Jackson Suber. I think he was actually challenging for a tournament a couple of weeks ago. Daniel Brown. I've heard of Daniel Berger. I don't think I've heard of Daniel Brown. I've heard of. Thomas Derby. Kentucky Derby. That's about it. McIntyre, yes. Molinari, yes. Alex Smalley. Wasn't he a baseball player for the Minnesota Twins? Oh, it was Roy Smalley. It's a who's who of nobodies. Just a who's who of nobodies at the Open Championship. But that's okay. It's a major. So we got World Cup finals set as Argentina rallies. I actually watched the last, England. You're not going to like this, but England is dominating, right? So I'm following along. I'm doing some work on the computer after our show yesterday, which ended at 3:30. And let me turn on to soccer. That's right. Let me catch the last 5 minutes. I see it's 1-0, right? I turn it on. And there's like 79 minutes in, so 10 minutes and change left. I wasn't watching a minute before Argentina scored a goal. I'm like, wow, right? Kind of kicking myself because I was playing ties in these games, but I stopped because there just weren't any ties after the group stage. The ties just stopped, and you could bet ties after regulation. So I was kicking myself, man, I should have, right? And then 5 minutes later, Argentina scores again. And they end up winning the thing 2-1. Me not watching, England is leading 1-0. I start watching, and Argentina scores twice. But I won't take the blame for this one, England. You know, it's dopey soccer. I've seen it play out 1,000 times. A team scores and they just go into a shell. They just stop playing. And that's what England apparently did yesterday. They got their 1-0 lead. They got into the second half, and they just stopped playing after like 55, 60 minutes, just kicking the ball down the field, saying, go ahead, take it. You know, you're not going to win in sports, even in dopey soccer. You're not going to win playing conservatively. I know it's hard to score in soccer, and 1-0 is like, you know, probably 21-0 in the NFL, but, you know, you could play and you're going to lose that game. You just are. So that's what happened. And now we got an Argentina-Spain. Looked it up earlier today. Little pop quiz here. What do you think tickets are going for on Ticketmaster for the championship game? It's at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, Giant Stadium, and obviously close to New York City. Spain, big market team. Messi, Argentina, big team, right? So you got two powers that are going to be in the finals, which we do in the semifinals. What do you think? Walk-in tickets upstairs, probably the worst seats you can get, in that they're basically not behind the goal, but to the left of the goal, of one of the goals. $8,000. That's the cheapest for one seat. Went to the better section, you know, the lower bowl, if you will, of the Meadowlands. Saw tickets going for $38. Now, again, you could ask for anything. Are they really going to sell? Who knows? $38,000 they were asking for these tickets. $38,000. That's Super Bowl-like. I mean, I guess this is the Super Bowl, right, of soccer. Two main teams, the biggest star, certainly one of the biggest stars in Messi. It's the perfect storm. A lot of Spanish fans around here, a lot of Argentina, a lot of Messi fans around here. So I don't know if these people will actually get their $8,000 for upper deck or $38,000. I mean, I just assumed spend $38,000 for better seats than I would $8,000. Those seats upstairs, if you've ever been to the Meadowlands, and I've been there, you're a long, long, long ways away. Now, soccer, I will say, not having been to a soccer match like this before, but I would think, like football, if the other team, you know, if you're in the 5-10 yard line of, we'll say, the New York Giants, and the Giants are going from your right to left, and they're all the way down at the other end of the field, you're not seeing anything. That is so far away, it's worthless. It's just, I might as well go back into the car and listen on the radio, really. Baseball, you know, I've had upper deck. I actually like upper deck if you're in the infield baseball. Those are actually really good seats. Outfield seats really aren't, you know, I've been on the Green Monster. Those seats suck. People still spending hundreds of dollars for Green Monster seats at Fenway Park. Let me tell you, they're awful. You don't see anything. But generally, you know, as long as you're not in the outfield, upper deck seats are okay. Basketball, I've been to the Garden a few times. It's kind of tough, but it is dark and the lights, it does like glow. So it's not awful. Hockey is really not a bad seat in the house where I've been. But I would think soccer would be the one where, all right, it's not that bad. There's no action. It goes back and forth, you know, but maybe those seats aren't too bad, but $8,000 and $38,000 on Ticketmaster. Again, will they get those or not? I don't know. I was looking at, you know, the Messi, right? And I knew right away who it was. I've been meaning to say this for the longest time. I can't accept that he's maybe the greatest soccer player playing today, you know, whether it's him or Bobby or whoever, you know, may be, right? He's certainly one of them. You guys ever watch Ray Donovan, the old TV show on, was it HBO? Yeah, HBO, right? One of Ray Donovan's brothers, he had two. Eddie Marson. Ring a bell? Who the fudge is that, Scott, right? He played I think he was the older brother. There was Ray Donovan, the main character, and then the two brothers. The one younger brother was the little dopey guy, and then Eddie was the I think he was older, right? Had the Parkinson's disease or some kind of disease, which I was saying on the podcast. I don't know why they did that. It was a great show, right? Really, really good show. I don't know why they had to stick the poor guy with Parkinson's disease. I didn't get that. But anyway, that's who Lionel Messi looks like. if you, and I meant to ask my producer to do this, but I give him enough things to do. If you took a picture of Lionel Messi and a picture of this actor, Eddie Marsan, especially when he's playing this character, they look exactly the same. So when I see Messi, I'm looking at Ray Donovan's brother. It's like, how is this guy a soccer player? He does not look like it. He looks like Ray Donovan's brother. He got palsy or whatever it was that he was dealing with there on the show. But the dude's got 11 straight games of a goal or an assist. And that assist, I mean, that was Wetzel-like, that was just a perfect pass. Was it lucky? I don't know. Was it skill? Who knows? But I will say it was a pretty good pass. It was. So in case you missed it, you're wondering how it sounded. These guys, man, here is the Pablo Geralt. Remember we played one of his goals earlier, one of the games from last week. He's the Argentina radio play-by-play guy. And here's how it sounded. You can only imagine.
Abierta Nico González y Argentina entusiasmado, embalado, con fe, vamos. Va Nico a buscar mano a mano. Lo marca Conza. No deja atrás para Julián. Viene para Julián. Entrega para Enzo. Va Enzo, abrió la cancha para Nico. Va para Nico, mete por abajo. Le queda Alexis, apuntó y paró. ¡Palo! Va para Messi, Valeo. Pegó en el palo.
Didn't score yet.
Que tienen. Perdió. Ponerse otra cosa. Viene Messi. Valeo, Messi.
You'll know when.
El centro. ¡Gol!
That's 2, 3. He's going to start crying for a second.
Argentina 2, Inglaterra 1, Lautaro viejo hermano. Argentina en mi corazón estamos juntos, siempre juntos.
All right, you get the drift. You get the drift. So he only said goal 3 times, which isn't bad. Now here's the Spanish version of the goal. You figure out which one you like better. 7 times. And I thought there was one more in there. Nothing for nothing. I get it. They're excited, right? Oh, okay. Although there is a point of being excited and yelling. It's like Gary Cohen doing Mets play-by-play, who people love around here, right? Nice guy. But a terrific broadcaster, except when he's making a home run call. Then he screams at you like you threw the pitch. It's like, dude, Gary, relax, man. You could be excited, but don't yell at me. The days of me getting yelled at, once I left my house are long gone, right? So don't yell at me. These guys yell. And the other thing is, can't they come up with something else? Like I forget the name of the famous broadcaster. He passed away. That promoted all this goal stuff. That guy did the goal. That's we kind of remember it from. That was kind of his thing. I know they're scoring a goal, but, can't you come up with something else? After you say goal, say, I don't know, something. Think about it. Not just goal. We've done that. Been there, done that. Come up with something different. You always got to be different. So both the calls, Argentina wins. Take your pick. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Just take a moment, broadcasters. I know you're excited, but just come up with a different phrase or just something. Just something different aside from just goal. Been there and done that. So anyway, World Cup final, Spain and Argentina. That's Sunday. Consolation game is Saturday. I didn't look and see what the Saturday prices were for. I'd be curious to know what those are going for. But I bet it's still a pretty penny. Are these guys really going to give 100% after not being in the final? Remember college basketball? I'll date myself. College basketball used to have a consolation game. And it got to the point, now this is like maybe, at least 20 years, 25 years, maybe even 30 years ago? I have to Google that, see the last time we had a consolation game in college basketball. I was just a kid and I liked it, something else to bet on. But they just figured that, people weren't interested in it anymore. Players weren't interested in it. Coaches weren't. And they said, let's get rid of it. I would have thought, though, that they would, now that gambling is so much more incorporated into our lives, that they would maybe bring back the third place game in college basketball. And it keeps the fans there. That's the big thing about, having a championship game on a Monday versus Friday, Sunday. The thinking always was, yeah, Scott, but if we have it Friday, Sunday, the losers Friday night will be going home Saturday. We want those winners to stick around Saturday night. That's when you go out and you spend your money. And if you end up losing, okay, you go home Sunday, but you've been there Friday night because you're going to get there the night before partying, Saturday, and you're going to stay. You're not leaving right after the game Saturday night. So we got you for 2 days, and maybe you go home Sunday. But if we did Friday, Sunday championship, then you would just leave, Saturday morning, get out of town. But if there was a third place game, they would stick around, I would think, to see the team play the third place game. All be a third place, but who cares? Why not, right? So I'm a little surprised they haven't tried to bring that back, especially now with money just being everything. So a couple of football notes here. I see George Pickens, Cowboys wide receiver, signed his franchise tag. No deadline or a deadline pass yesterday, so he's going to play on the franchise tender, which I got to tell you, $27.3 million. He's not that good. I get why the Cowboys are doing this in that he had a terrific year last year, after being just so really with Pittsburgh. And he had a tremendous year last year. But I think that Dallas is kind of like the fan base. Like, show me again, be a good guy for another year. We don't have to, give you a 4-year, $125 million contract. Go play another season. Go be nice. Don't create any issues. Go have just as much production, and then we'll bring this up again next year. So I think that's actually a pretty good move, although he's not worth $27 million. Like, if he just says, all right, and has another good year, then maybe. But then you're kind of falling into the trap of what the Cincinnati Bengals are doing, right? When you pay 2 wide receivers top dollar and you're paying your quarterback top dollar, as the Bengals are with Joey B, it's hard to build a team around that. You got Jamar Chase already. You got CeeDee Lamb already. Do you really need to pay a second wide receiver franchise type money? No. This is where being a good draft person comes into play. It's like, George, listen, you're terrific. We'd love to have you. You won $15 million. That's what we got budgeted for our second best wide receiver, $15 million. I can't give you $27 million for 4 straight years. Can't do it. Not when we're paying Dak 60 and we're paying CD 35. We can't pay 3 guys on offense, well over $100 million. We just can't do it. I've got to fill out the rest of the roster. So otherwise you'll just have a terrific offense and a lousy defense, and you'll be the Cincinnati Bengals of the NFC. Simple as that. So let him play 1 more year and then probably let him walk after that, even if he is really, really good. You can franchise him again. But one thing about the franchise tag that people don't realize, you got to put all $27.3 million in your salary cap this year. Nothing can get deferred as a signing bonus, or we're just going to pay you more money next year when we have more cap space, or any of the little goofy things that they could do. No, you franchise a guy, you have to put all of that money in your cap. And that's not easy to do. You'd be surprised the cap number versus the actual salary, because you can do signing bonuses and incentives and all these goofy things that eventually you got to pay down the line. But you could get away with having a guy make $40 million and really only have about a $20 million cap thing because of signing bonuses. You can't do that with a franchise tag. So, but I know a lot of people are trying to jump on the bandwagon there of Cowboys. I don't see it. I really. They'll be okay. Maybe they make the playoffs. I thought they were going to make the playoffs last year, but Super Bowl, I don't think so. Speaking of Super Bowl, how about Tom Brady? He's been doing these interviews now, as everyone is doing. There's nothing going on, so this is a chance to promote their products and everything else. So he was on one interview, and he was asked about one of his worst losses ever, and he was just running down Super Bowls and this and that, right? So what's funny about this is, he brings up the Giant loss, their perfect season. Listen to what he says about the wide receiver of the Giants.
Like why did you stay for that long? Why did you continue to stay?
Yeah. We were really good still.
You're still good, yeah. But
so we went.
Were you getting offers though, Tom? Were you getting people trying to come and take you away?
Oh yeah, and I think our Patriot teams had really 2 great generational runs. There was a 20-year dynasty, but I think there was really like 2 10-year dynasties. The first run that we had was kind of one group of players, and then we kind of transitioned and transformed into a second group of players that both had tremendous, winning achievements. And we won 3 Super Bowls in my first 4 years I played. In 2007, we were undefeated. We had probably the greatest football team ever. Yeah. We lost to the New York Giants in the Super Bowl on some incredible plays the Giants made. One is called the helmet catch. A guy, Eli Manning, threw the ball in the middle of the field, jumped up, guy who you never heard of, caught the ball, stuck it to the back of his helmet, fell backward, landed on the ground, controlled the ball on his helmet, had his other hand locked up, and they ended up scoring a touchdown, and we lost the game. We would have been 19-0, and we'd have been considered, I think, the greatest football team ever. We lost that year. That was the most brutal loss of my entire career. And then 2008, I tore my ACL. It was a tough year.
And he just goes on and on, talking about this, that, what have you. But I thought that was funny. Maybe the Patriots never heard of him. Maybe Brady's never heard of him. But you mentioned David Tyree around the York, New Jersey area. And boy, you believe you me, he doesn't have to pay for another beer for the rest of his life or another meal. David Tyree is the one that made that catch there. Some guy that we never heard of. And they probably would have. I will say, at 19-0, I mean, it's statistically, anyway, even if you didn't like the Patriots, even if you didn't like Brady, and I'm a Dolphin fan, I mean, 19-0 is 19-0. They would have been. That's better than our Dolphins 17-0. So they would. It's amazing. One little catch, and a great job by Eli. That one play not only, gave the Giants, in essence, the win, it also probably put Eli in a Hall of Fame. I don't think Eli's in a Hall of Fame unless he has 2 Super Bowls. So, in fact, I don't think he's in a Hall of Fame yet. They still got to vote him in. He'll get in. But that one catch. Now, the Giants did have to go the rest of the field. It was about 30 yards and get a touchdown. And they got the touchdown. And the Patriots still had about 35 seconds, if memory serves me right, to be able to move down the field. I don't think they had any more timeouts left. But they had about 30, 35 seconds left to move down the field, and they couldn't move down the field, and that was that. But that's football. But I thought that was pretty funny how some guy that no one's ever heard of. Real quick, last one before we take a break here. We're going to have Joe Lisi join us here in a little bit, do some college football with him. NBA rumors with our boy Jaylen Brown, who now is obviously a Philadelphia 76er. When the Celtics were trying to move him after the Giannis trade fell through, I guess they called up Minnesota, and Minnesota said no to a package that the Celtics were apparently asking. According to John Krasinski, pretty good NBA guy. He's got a lot of followers. I recognize the name, right? So it's not just some loser. But I find this hard to believe. Apparently, the Celtics would have taken Rudy Gobert and some first-round draft choices, future draft capital, whatever that would have been. Well, let's say even 3 first-round picks, right? And Minnesota wasn't interested. I find that hard to believe. You're telling me you wouldn't want to pair up Anthony Edwards and Jaylen Brown? I think this was before the LaMelo Ball trade. You wouldn't want to pair up those two because you want to hold on to Rudy Gobert? I mean, no offense, he's a decent player, but, he's a defensive guy. He's not an offensive player at all. Can't hit a free throw to save his life. And a couple of even 3 first-round draft choices? Those draft choices are worthless. You're going to be in the playoffs every single year. Those are going to be around 25 or so. Any kind of luck even later than that they're worthless. So you're not trading Jaylen Brown basically straight up for Rudy Gobert? No way. No way. Like I said, this guy's a known NBA guy, but even those guys have to throw crap out there just to get attention. I can't imagine that the teacups would say no to that. And I can't imagine the Celtics would trade that, getting Gobert and worthless draft choices. But when you look back and you see the trade they did make, that, okay, maybe they would have done that deal. Boy, you talk about the fan base in Boston being ticked off. They're ticked off with Paul George. Imagine trading Jaylen Brown for Rudy Gobert. Oh, my goodness. They would have tore down the building. That's goofy. That is just goofy. So, all right. Quick little break here. What are we at? 2:38. Yeah, Lisi's going to join us in a couple of moments. We'll do some college football stuff with him. Still have some WNBA things to get to. Conor McGregor, making some noise. The 4-letter network last night with the ESPYs that nobody cares about. I'm trying not to buy into the the goofiness that is the 4-letter network with that stuff like that. And then a story that's just like, I don't know if it's true or not. I really don't. But we have video to show you that seemingly is true. I guess maybe it's AI, but it doesn't look like AI. You won't want to miss that. So all that coming up right here on the Scott Wetzel Show. It's a Thursday afternoon on Fan Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tom's Town, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tom's Town, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. And what is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things to showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, We make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStream Sports on a Thursday afternoon. Yours truly sitting in for another hour or so. How about talk a little college football? We got a lot to get to on the program today. Let's welcome in our good buddy, Mr. Joe Lisi, who you see it here all the time over on Sport. Well, you don't anymore, actually. You used to see all the time over on Sports.
What's up, Scotty? What's up, Scotty? Oh, this is it. 45 days away. We're 45 days away from the start of the college football season. Nothing better. And, the odds markets have been up now for about 4 months. It used to be right after the Super Bowl, they used to throw up everything. Now it's almost as is. Once the college football playoff is over, these lines, Scott, have been up for basically 4 or 5 months. We'll see if we can catch some value over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the Texas Tech bettors, who I had, by the way, last year, which let me down in the postseason. But let me start with a couple of things off the field. What was your take on the Brandon Swordsby situation?
Again, I mean, it had to play out that way. I don't understand, and I get it. Texas Tech appealed. They won the appeal, and it looked like he would be suspended for a couple of days. But to be honest with you can't have a quarterback – even though when he was at Indiana betting on football games, passing totals, unders, and overs, that's just a bad look for everybody. And even his professional career, Hunter Deckers, that had this situation play out for Iowa State basically 3 years ago, Scotty, is now playing in the XFL, UFL. I mean, his career is completely over. To think that Brendan Swordsby was going to evade this and all of a sudden then somehow, some way be part of a supplemental draft or play in 2026, they were out of their minds. Now, I will just say this. Quarterback wasn't as pressing of a need, and let me just sort of tell you why. I mean, Will Hammond is there. Will Hammond backed up Baron Morton and played in games last year for Texas Tech. I do believe that Swordsby was an upgrade to Hammond, but they shouldn't miss the experience heading into 2026. But the program as a whole now has a black eye.
Yeah. Really, how they ever thought he was going to get through there, I don't know. And the Joe NFL clearly wants no part of him. They got enough issues on their plate. For them not to hold this supplemental draft would have taken 5 minutes because we all know,
right.
maybe one guy, two guys taken in these things. They clearly want no part of this guy, right?
No, they don't. Now, there were players. Jamison Williams gambled on sports, had a 6-game suspension, but he wasn't gambling on football. That's the problem. It's the Pete Rose type of situation. You could gamble on sports, you'll take the hit with the suspension, whether it be 6 games, 12 games a year, and potentially you can come back. When you start gambling in your sport and more importantly on your team, whether or not they're going to make production on prop bets, now you open up a whole can of worms. You saw the situation with the pitch bets in the MLB, right? Those players' careers never come back. Terry Rozier and Beasley with the NBA, they're done basically, and everybody that's been involved. Why do we think that Brendan Swordsby would be above the law in this type of situation? So it's unfortunate, but how many times do these kids get sort of educated in the locker room by the programs? They had to know gambling on sports was illegal, especially college football.
Yeah. And this guy didn't just gamble, too. He wasn't doing once every twice. He was gambling 10.
Yeah.
What they say, $100,000 when everything was said and done, which is easy to accumulate, but it's not. It wasn't just one time with it.
Right.
So, yeah. All right. So Ohio State. Listen, this could be 2026, Joe, or 1976. You got the same teams. Ohio State, and for FanDuel anyway, the odds-on favorite at plus 550. Notre Dame is 650. Texas, Oregon, Indiana remains to be the surprise team, right? So, in the end, how do you see the thing playing out?
Well, I mean, all those teams are going to be in the mix. What I find interesting and just mind-boggling to me is you have Texas with Arch Manning that's going to get the hype, right? And yet they didn't make the college football playoff last year. Oregon makes the college football playoff and gets absolutely smacked around by Indiana and Kurt Cignetti. And when we talk about consistency, Scott, in college football, Kurt Cignetti for the past couple of years has proven that he is like Nick Saban. But the other program to me, Scott, that is there week in, week out, year in, year out, like Nick Saban, is Georgia. I mean, think about the price you're getting at Georgia right now. And if we just think about it odds-wise, everybody could say projections, but we can only take the body of work of what we've seen for the past 4 to 6 years or even last year. Which team was more consistent, I'll tell you, when we look at it, Texas or Georgia? Georgia blew out Texas last year with Arch Manning by 25 points, yet they're $3 behind the Longhorns entering 2026. It's ridiculous. It's crazy that both teams have veteran quarterbacks. Both teams bring back a multitude of starters, but Kirby Smart has 2 national championships and Steve Sarkisian has none. So I like Georgia when we talk about preseason bets for value, and I think Notre Dame should be there. The other one I think is interesting is twofold. Miami with Darian Mensah, significant upgrade from Carson Beck, and Mike Elko and Texas A&M are not getting any respect. I think they're like, 20-1 to potentially win it? That's slap in the face right now.
Yeah. How about Lane Kiffin and LSU, 22-1?
So here's the thing, Scott. I'm very close to the program. Prior to last year, my daughter went to LSU. She transferred out. But that being, let's take that out of the equation. People think I'm an LSU homer. I have no problem with LSU offensively. That has never been the concern. And you can even talk about when Brian Kelly was there. The problem that I have, big picture, looking at the 8.5 number, 9.5 number, is can Blake Baker, one of the highest SEC or college football defensive coordinators, live up to the billing? And when you look at last year, and I see Marcel Reed in Death Valley rush for 88 yards on the front 7, they get blown out in a must-win game, I scratch my head. When I see Trinidad Chambliss in a must-win game in Oxford just go down the field and they can't get off the field on third down, I have more concerns about LSU's defense with Blake Baker than I do anything else. They'll be able to score 30 to 35 points with that team. Trey'Dez Green comes back, one of the most athletic tight ends that we've seen in college football. He goes about 6'6", 6'5", 240, can catch the football and run like the wind. Caden Durham, Harlan Berry, and Sam Levitt from Arizona State comes over. That is not the concern. The concern is the defense, and I need to see it early on. I think in year one, I would sell them early on. I want to see it before Lane Kiffin. I anoint him as the second coming to Nick Saban in Baton Rouge.
All right. Couple teams here that, Joe, seem to be at that fork. You know, where are they going to go? One of them, to me, would be Alabama. 22-1. They're tied for like the 10th choice, right? I mean, when's the last time Alabama's been 22-1? They lose their quarterback. I didn't think he was very good last year anyway.
Right.
But is Alabama going back down the path of to Nicky Saban? They made the playoffs last year, or are they going, you know what, it's just not happening?
So think about this, okay? So I'll throw some numbers out to you, and you tell me, right? We watched Alabama football all last year. Do they look like the dominant Alabama team, or do they sort of look like a Pac-12 team to you when they had the Pac-12 with Washington and USC, where teams can run on them at will? They had one of the worst rushing productions, Scott, in Alabama history, dating pre-Nick Saban. They only averaged 3.7 yards per carry. They didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. You know, last year when Jam Miller was not the answer. Hill came on at the end of last year, and they lose Ty Simpson. And here's the other factor, too, that nobody seems to put out there. It's almost like coaching in New York. Kalen DeBoer lost back-to-back 4-loss seasons. He got smacked around by Kurt Cignetti by 35 points in a college football playoff semifinal. That is unheard of in Tuscaloosa modern day, right? If I would have told you that Nick Saban got smashed in a college football playoff environment, you wouldn't have believed it. He's fighting for his job now. He got $87 million. There's a quarterback battle between Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. Keelan Russell has no playing experience. He's a redshirt freshman that if they go to him early on and let's say they lose to Florida State, there is no turning back. There is no turning back. If they drop a game in September, they have to roll the dice then with Keelan Russell. So again, 8.5 win total. I don't like the schedule. They could have lost to South Carolina last year. They lost to Oklahoma at home in a must-win type of situation. There were chinks in the fire last year. And again, I would say right now they're an 8-win football team at best in 2026.
Wow. See a lot of people, in our favorite little, I thought I had it here. I don't.
Right.
Our favorite little Bible, the playbook, right?
Yeah.
As Florida as one of the sleeper teams, 50-1 on FanDuel. Buying in?
No, not in year one. Philo's a concern for me. Now, he does have more experience than obviously some of the others coming in the SEC. But here's the thing. It's a major rebuild. What Napier had there, a lot of kids left. They still keep some skilled talent. They bring back 4 starters on defense, and Summerall's a blue-collar coach. But if we're looking big picture, Scott, on value, is it just the SEC or everybody? Because if you look at the numbers, Georgia Tech to win the ACC is 35-1. Okay, they get Alberto Mendoza. They get Justice Haynes from Alabama and Michigan that comes in. They have Malachi Hosley. You're talking about a team in Brent Key that was 9-4 last year, can run the football. He's a blue-collar guy that predicates offense and defensive line talent. And oh, by the way, they've covered the last 3 against Georgia. You're going to give me that team in the ACC for 35-1? I like that bet as a sleeper team. There's no respect for Georgia Tech right now.
I mean, be careful when you make those bets.
Yes, gamble at your own risk.
Yeah, well, not just that. Just is a tie? Even though let's say Georgia Tech is pick a number, right? 8-3 in the conference, 8-1 in the conference.
Yeah, they have to play in the championship game.
That's the thing, right? They have to play in the championship game. Yeah, to win with that.
So, like, if you had Duke last year, you're making a fortune, right? They have to play in the championship game and win the championship game. That's what it comes down to. So, look at Duke. Duke had great value all the way to the end with Mensa.
Right. You mentioned Arch. Are you an Arch guy this year or not? I'm not. I don't see it. I really don't see it.
So I put out top 5 quarterbacks, and I put top 10, top 15 for the 16 for the SEC. And I said it was more on gambling. Okay. And what I mean by that is forget statistics. I don't care about statistics. With the game, I do. But my point is when we're wagering on this stuff and we're breaking it down, we want to know, hey, can I bet on that guy in a tough situation? I wouldn't have Arch as number 1 and number 2 because when you look at the body of work, last year he threw 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, Scotty, right? Okay, great. Body of work, first half of the season, he struggled. Second half, the last 8 games of the regular season, he throws for 285 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But let's take it a step further. His home and road splits, Texas last year was 6-0 at home. They were undefeated at home and won those games by an average margin of victory of 24.8 points per game. Arch in those wins threw for 269 passing yards per game. He threw for basically, 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. On the road, he threw 48 yards less at only 229 per game. He only completed 60% of his passes. He throws for 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And oh, by the way, their road record, Scott, was 4-3 overall. They lost to Ohio State. They lost to Florida. They lost to Georgia, all on the road and didn't cover. They didn't cover as a 7.5-point favorite against Mississippi State. He wins that game in overtime. The following week, they lay 13.5 against Kentucky. They go to overtime and barely win. So where is the body of work that I'm guaranteed Arch Manning is a top 2 quarterback who can win on the road in a tough spot, especially in the college football playoff? I need to see it before I believe it. I would put Gunnar Stockton just from a mindset and coaching up the team ahead of him. I would put other quarterbacks like Trinidad Chambliss ahead of him in the conference. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback entering this year. Could he change that? Absolutely. But I think they lose to Ohio State week 2.
Mm-hmm. Is there a Tulane on the horizon in college football for this year, like last year?
So here's the thing: the group of 5, you look at it, is going to be very difficult. But I've always said this to you when you and I did shows. I would always like to see, right, a triple option team make it to the playoffs. The problem with betting Navy is that they have Notre Dame on the schedule, which we know most likely, let's just call it what it is. They're going to get smashed, and they're not going to have potentially that top 10, top 5 win to carry, okay? So that's why they're 70-1. Army, on the other hand, Scott, has nobody. And what I mean by that, they don't have a top 25 opponent across their schedule. Maybe North Texas or a Tulane could sneak in there, but there's no Notre Dame. There's no big boy. If they go 10-0, 12-0 at 100-1, Scott, they could potentially, if you have a 9-3 Tulane team, you have Navy that's 8-4, and all these teams fall off from the group of 5. UTSA and everybody loves UNLV. Let's say they have multiple losses, and you have an undefeated Army team with no quality wins, but they're undefeated. I like them at 100-1 to potentially crack it.
Yeah, and I know it's going to sound goofy, but it's not Tulane, right? It's Army.
Right.
You know, Joe, right? There's going to be President Trump yelling and screaming about how this team deserves to be in the college football playoff.
Right.
And it would bring, fannies to the table, too. And I would think the committee would say, listen, the last team is going to get destroyed anyway. So if they're going to get destroyed, why not make it a Cinderella team like Army that people will actually tune in for, and it'll be a whole story? They got a tough game at Memphis. I'm looking at the schedule now.
Yeah, but Memphis with a new head coach, Silverfield's at Arkansas. So there's a lot of variables. So my point though is there's no Notre Dame. There's no ACC opponent. They could rip through that if they get a clean. And Chase Helms comes back. They're starting quarterback. And Monken's a good coach. You're telling me at 12-0. What if they score 40 points a game against the opposition? Yeah. And to your point, there's nobody there. They're going to be in the mix.
They only got 5 road games. That's Ohio State, Alabama like. For Army to have 7 home games, only 5 road, and one of them is the Navy game. So really, they only have 5 traditional. 5. Yeah, right. That would be 6 with 6 with Navy, right?
But it's worth a flyer for 100-1.
Yeah, to just make the playoffs, not win the whole thing.
Right? No.
But it'd be crazy. Are we going to get to 24 or 16 anytime soon, playoff wise?
You love beating this drum. I hate this.
I do. More the merrier.
But then the regular season turns like to the NFL.
You got so many rivalries, Joe. The regular season's always going to be worth something. It just is.
You don't think they're going to rest starters if they had a week 1 bye and we have 24 teams or they get a home game and they're going to have to rest their starters? They do it in the NFL all the time for week 17. You're telling me we come back and we have Alabama, Auburn. In today's landscape, if both teams are 10-1 entering that game, that Iron Bowl means something for potentially a college football playoff. You have an 11-0 Alabama team, and let's say an 8-3 Auburn team, and DeBoer, if he's lucky, gets to rest his quarterback. Who's going to watch that type of game?
Listen, we watch the bowl games, right? The meaningless bowl games.
Do we? I mean, it's getting pathetic now, Scott.
They're going away. I never thought I'd ever say this, Joe, but they're going away. Like a majority of them, or they're going to be incorporated into the playoff, but you can't incorporate them because you got to have the home field advantage. Otherwise, you're right. All these teams that get in, if you're going to have 24, what's the difference? We get into 10-2, or we get into 9-3. We're in. But that's why you got to have home field advantage in the first round, at least the first round. So
why don't we do this? And we talked about this when we did the shows last year. Putting the bowls around these big games. Ohio State, Texas, not home and home. Make it the Sun Bowl in El Paso. You incorporate the bowls into the month of September for these marquee games. Like last year, Texas A&M, Notre Dame. Play it at the Pinstripe Bowl in New York. Obviously the Yankees would hope to be playing maybe in World Series by then. But my point is, if they're lucky, but we could go off the beaten path on that. But my point is, incorporate the bowls that way. That would be one way to keep it.
That's not bad. That's actually not a bad idea. And you wouldn't be asking the Ohio State fan, we'll say, to fly to Phoenix one week, Miami the next week, LA the third week, if it was all in the playoffs. This is now at least separated by a month or so.
It's not bad. It gives them an option. Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. So, all right, man, where can people find your podcast? Hopefully here.
Yeah, the podcast I've been doing 2 a week. It's up on X, and once Coach Bowden right now is in the Arena League right now, so he's coaching. Believe it or not, he's fighting for. He's in Monroe, Louisiana, the Arena football. They close out in the next 2 weeks. So once his season's over, we'll start breaking them down more. But I do the show 2 times a week now. It'll be all July and August. Hopefully we'll do it 3 times a week right here on X and anywhere that we do it. Carver and I are still doing the show. We might be going on tonight. So I'm across X. Go for the 2, and I'm up there on the YouTube page. You could find me.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get you on our show and our programs and everything else this football season. So,
yeah.
Joe, good job, man. Appreciate it, bro.
Anytime. Love the show. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, quick little break. We continue a lot to get to finish up the last half hour of our program, the Scott Wetzel Show, right here on FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It, and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. What is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things to showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hour number 2 of our hour and a half extravaganza. It's got 2 hours as we get a little bit here, but still a lot to get to on this show. Thanks again, Joe Lisi. Go for 2. Go for the 2 is his podcast. Check it out at your favorite podcast stores and just follow him on Twitter as well. So start with a little golf here. They're still finishing up final round. Couple of guys, there's a couple of stragglers still on the course, including Brooks Koepka, who's got 1 hole left. Most of these guys got 1 or 2 holes left. He's at -1. Schauffele is at -1 as well. Your leader is Jackson Suber at -5, 1 shot over Daniel Brown and Sungjae Im. And then you got a host of other golfers, including Bryson DeChambeau at 3 under par. Cameron Young is 3 under as well. And then you got a group that are 3 back, including Scotty Scheffler, who, spoke to the media, before the tournament, as you would figure he would do. And he kind of reiterated what he said before, I don't know if it was the Masters or one of the tournaments, right? I really think this, I won't play the whole thing. It's long, but, you wonder why Scotty hasn't won since the opening weekend, right? And I just don't, that mental edge, I know he's come close and all that, but it doesn't sound like he really cares about winning anymore. Let's listen to his comments. Again, he's mentioned this before. But listen.
I think it's kind of funny. I think, I think I said something after the Byron this year about
the Byron, yeah.
It feels like you work your whole life to celebrate winning a tournament for a few minutes. It only lasts a few minutes, that kind of euphoric feeling. And to win the Byron Nelson Championship at home, I literally worked my entire life to become good at golf, to have an opportunity to win that tournament. And you win it. You celebrate, you get to hug my family, my sister's there. It's such an amazing moment. And then it's like, okay, now what are we going to eat for dinner? Life goes on. Is it great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things I have in the game of golf? Yeah. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes just to think about, because it's literally worked my entire life to become good at this sport, and to have that kind of sense of accomplishment, I think is a pretty cool feeling. To get to live out your dreams is very special. But at the end of the day, it's I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of the deepest, places of your heart. There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to number 1 in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And I really do believe that, because what is the point? Why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know, because
he just goes on and on. So I won't, continue. The guy's lost his luster for winning. Listen, as a fan, I think most fans will agree, the agony of losing has a stronger impact on you than the thrill of winning, right? Because you lose so many more times than what you win. And maybe that's the same way for a player. The win is great, but then life goes on. Well, life goes on if you lose too, though, brother. I mean, yeah, enjoy. Doesn't sound like he enjoys winning. He sounds like a pampered, baby athlete that's got so much money now. It just doesn't matter. Win, lose, draw. What's the difference? if you don't have the inspiration, and this is okay to be the next Tiger Woods where you inspire, some of the other golfers, if that's not your thing, okay. But what else is there? I mean, don't you want to compete against the best? Don't you want to be compared against the best? Don't you want to strive to maybe be the best golfer ever, depending how many majors you get or in that conversation? There's always goals, complete the career Grand Slam. I mean, something. And it just sounds like he doesn't have that anymore. He's got so much freaking money, and you don't even have to win nowadays. You're still walking away with $1 million paycheck. He made over $1 million at the Byron Nelson. And he's like, well, whatever, I won, so who cares? Who cares? You picked up a 7-figure paycheck, you dope. What do you mean, who cares? You get to live in the mansion that you live in. You get to live the life that you have because of your ability to play golf. And now you're saying you're basically bored with it, like it doesn't matter? There's something wrong with him. And I don't think it's just golf. He may find the same thing about life. He may just find out, all right, I'm getting up today, and what's my main concern? What am I going to have for dinner? Okay, that's everyone's concern, bro. Yeah. You should feel fortunate that's your biggest concern, rather than having to go work a 9-to-5 job and sweat and lay bricks or whatever the case may be. It just comes across as a pampered, SOB. And I don't think he is that. I just think he's going through this struggle of just like, I've had so much success come to me so quickly that it's like, so what? Life still goes on. But yeah, of course it does. That's why you got to enjoy the victories. When you're older and maybe you're not competing at this level anymore, maybe you'll appreciate, wow, I can look back and say I'm a Masters champ, or I'm a, US Open champ, or a British Open Championship champ. Maybe you'll appreciate it then, maybe more than you are right now. But I think that's what's keeping him like that really mental drive of, I got to win this or else. Like, I don't think he cares if he loses, because I think he says the same thing. Well, I lost, but all right, what's for dinner tomorrow? Really weird. It's a strange dude. Definitely strange dude. More on the WNBA, with Caitlin Clark. I will say this with Clark, and to no one's credit or whatever, but she does bring more fannies to the table. Like, people are paying attention to Caitlin Clark, not for the positives, not necessarily negatives, but just all the negative feedback. Like, people, as I told you before, when you become mainstream, people start analyzing you. And right now, it's still an okay thing, kind of like fighting in hockey. People like to see the fights, but in the end, is that really good? For me, yeah, I love fights, right? But and this is, all the bad calls and all the bad officiating, and the head coach who seemingly doesn't like her, and the league and the commissioner who's an idiot, Kathy Engelbert. So here's another play last night, for that emotion,
and then had the conversation as this is the play that she felt should have been whistled.
You can tell that it's not just about the call that
she gets whacked on the arm, right? Play it again. You got to look at it closely.
But they allowed her that emotion,
right?
And then had the
Foul
conversation
there,
as this is the play that she felt should have been whistled.
So she was demonstrative after that and got into the official's face there. But oops, hold on a second.
Her that emotion, and then had the conversation as this is the play that she felt should have been whistled.
Yeah.
You can tell.
So they don't call fouls against her. Being a world-class 5th, 6th grade AAU basketball coach like I am, or official like I am, that was a foul on the defender. Now, she didn't shove her to the ground, but she got hit in the arm, and then she hit her on her knee, and she went to the ground. It's a foul. It's a foul. I mean, I've never seen a league like the WNBA, as we keep on saying all the time, do more and more to alienate this team and Caitlin Clark. It's the strangest thing in the world. It is just so bizarre that they don't call fouls against her. It's just, wow. So, from a different angle, Golden State won last night. I'm telling you, this Golden State team is not a bad little team. I know it's the WNBA. I get that, but there's nothing else going on. You could still get Golden State at 9-1. That number's coming down to the 4th choice. That's not a bad number. They are winning. They have covered like 10 straight games, something crazy like that, 8, 9, 10 in a row. They are on absolute fire, and they're still the 4th choice at 9-1. So if you like putting a couple shekels on things, Getting them at 9-1 to win the WNBA championship is not the craziest thing in the world. Conor McGregor in the news says his loss to Max Holloway should be overturned to a no contest because he got hurt in the ring, which is stupid, right? He's going to have a scan on his leg today. Apparently, who cares? We know the leg is busted. No one's doubting his injury, right? He says the fight should be a no contest and all bets returned. Here's a suggestion, Connor. How about returning the $30 million you got for the fight? Now, that would be noble. That would be a suggestion. You want the boys in Vegas to give back all their profits. How about you giving back your $30 million then, right? I mean, how does a guy make a suggestion like that? I know he's trying to be noble to all the fans that lost money that bet on him, and I guess 85% of the bets came on McGregor. But how about make the gesture, okay, let's all go in on this. You know what? Boys in Vegas, you return your money. I'll return my $30 million. We could give refunds to everyone that bought on pay-per-view, and we'll all do a do-over 6 months, 8 months, whatever from now. Think that's coming? No, it's not. I don't care about the SB. I don't care. But I will say, I'm going to buy in a certain amount, right? They give these dopey awards, and I'll talk about those in a second. One of them, Play of the Year. Nothing from nothing. I'm going to buy into the SBs for a second, just for a second. Any award for 2026 that pertains to Play of the Year that does not name that goal here in the United States, obviously, as the Play of the Year is just looking for attention by doing something different. That it's as simple as that. They named the OG Anunoby tip-in as the Play of the Year. And while that may thrill New York Knicks fans, you can't sit there with a straight face and say more people weren't rooting for Team USA, albeit hockey, than the New York Knicks. Hell, half the people hate the Knicks, right? All the videos of showing people getting beat up and everything. Half the people in this country, more than half, 90% of the people were rooting for San Antonio. So how in the world is a game-winning goal in the Olympics, in the biggest Olympic winter sport there is, in overtime, not be the goal of the year or the Play of the Year? Because they want attention. Because if they make every single award, predictable, then no one's going to talk about it. Simple as that. So, but that was beyond stupid. And then the other thing about the dopey, this is really amazing. So they're giving out a baseball award, right? Best single game performance. Mike Tyson, don't ask why, is one of the presenters. And he didn't know.
Yes, and the SB award goes to, check this out, Shohei Ohtani.
Listen to this real close.
Shohei could not be here tonight. He sends his gratitude and appreciation to ESPN and everyone who voted for him.
Shohei's the guy.
Shohei's the guy. I'll play it again. Oh, hold on. Let me go back a little further. Tyson didn't know.
And everyone who voted for him.
Shohei's the guy.
How in the world do you not know in 2026, living in the United States, who Shohei Ohtani is when you're involved in sports? If you weren't involved in sports, you're a businessman or whatever, okay, but you're Mike Tyson. You don't know who Shohei Ohtani is? Not to mention, I mean, I know people seem to like Mike Tyson for some goofy reason, but he is a convicted rapist. He's had multiple assault arrests, bit off a man's ear, domestic abuse allegations, owed millions when he went bankrupt, and yet somehow or another he's, on the four-letter network. So nice choice of performers. A guy who didn't even know who he was awarding, handing the award to. Oh, just dopey. They must be losing a fortune. I mentioned this story on my podcast. I was involved one year in an award show here in Long Island, here in New York. It was the New York State Awards, right? and a magazine that I used to work for, and yearly they would have a dinner like this and hand out same thing, except New York based, right? You don't realize how expensive it is to hold one of those things. First of all, you got to rent out the hall. You got to feed people. You have to fly people in. If you're calling up, all these people, they're not paying a dime, not a dime to be there. You got to fly them in. You got to put them up. You got to come up with gift packages. You got to get the wives and the kids involved as well. You got to pay for all them. It costs a fortune. Some you actually have to pay to be there. Otherwise, they get these offers all the time. They don't care about these stupid awards. It's like, well, whatever. What are you giving me? Well, just an award. I don't need some dopey award. You got to come up with some prize package. So then they got to go out and buy presents for all these people, bring all their families in, put them up for a couple of days, feed them and everything. It costs a fortune. You don't think about that, but it does. Believe you me, it costs a fortune for this dopey one here in New York. I can only imagine what these cost. So there's no way in the world the four-letter network is making money on these things. No way. But I think they you know what? The Jimmy V thing is like, well, we can't stop doing them now. How are we going to stop doing them? We started this monster. We've created this monster, and what are we going to do now? So they're stuck, and that's what they have. Speaking of, we'll hold off on that. One of my running things there on the, I am a basketball referee, but I told the guys that I don't really stretch beforehand, and people laugh at that. And I always tell them, I only have so much energy at this point. So if I'm reffing 3, 4, 5 games, I'm not going to waste, a half hour of stretching. That takes energy to stretch, right? So people made fun of me because of that. But look at this. Former Falcons wide receiver Julio Jones never stretched before games, LLs. Why not? He says, ever see a cheetah stretch? Yeah, I guess not. No. He also refused painkillers before games and everything else. So good for him for staying clean. But yes, I am not alone, LLs, LWs, loyal watchers, when it comes to stretching. I don't stretch either. I think I do it for a different reason. I'm not exactly sure why he didn't, other than what he gave you, but that doesn't really tell you why. But it's kind of goofy, right? So, couple things here. This story, it's amazing here. So, the Buffalo Bills, someone sent out a little thing here on Twitter, released their new logo for the upcoming season, which actually looks pretty cool, right? I mean, I know this is a joke, but if the Bills actually put that on their helmet, how cool would that look, right? That actually is pretty cool. So this thing happened. Today's Thursday, all right? When did it happen? I don't think it was Monday. I think it was Tuesday, right? So we showed the video of it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday now. We're 3 days after this event occurred, and we're still getting on Twitter all these, goofy memes and different things. Like, this story won't go away. This poor guy nearly died. Fortunately, he didn't. And I'm not sure how long this is going to go, but I will put one thing up every single day. I'll limit it to one. My favorite video or favorite meme or favorite whatever, and just see how long this thing can last. It's got a life of its own. It really has got a life of its own. It is amazing. I hope this guy is capitalizing. I don't know how he can be, but man, I would be calling an agent, right? You got to strike while the iron's hot. Get on, get on shows and talk about it. Get on the different talk shows and make some money somehow or another. Make some money. Copyright you being thrown up in the air, something. Turn this negative into a positive. So, listen. We go from one funny story to a sad story, and when your time is up, man, your time is up. It's as simple as that. There was a boat in San Francisco yesterday going out into the ocean, or at least the bay anyway. They wanted to spread ashes of a deceased relative, someone who died like 10 years ago. So I'm not exactly sure why they were doing it yesterday, but that be it. 20 people on this 49-foot cruiser boat. So the decent sized boat, we're not talking about a rowboat here, right? It capsizes. Big wave knocks the boat over. 20 people on board. 4 of them died. 3 treated at a hospital, should be okay. But 4 of the 20 people, I mean, you're going out on the boat to spread ashes into the water. What are they going to be out there, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, right? Spread the ashes in the water. Let's go back home. And you come home with 4 less family members. Oh, just crazy. I always equate it to, again, Action Park when I used to work there in Jersey, growing up as a kid, and seeing people die, whether it was the go-karts or the Action Park or the wave pool, or we had rowboats, people getting electrocuted. I mean, just thinking like that's the last thing on my mind. I mean, what size, I mentioned this with the, different boats that end up getting capsized, like the wreck of the Evan Fitzgerald, right? How big are these waves? I mean, a 49-foot boat is a pretty damn big boat to be capsized. I mean, how big are those waves, right? Wow. Crazy. And then this one, we saved the best for last. I don't know if this is true. It can't be true. It can't be true, this story, right? I'll show it to you.
There you go. Your eviction notice. Bro, come out. You're going to look out of there. Cut all the way down. Watch your fucking self. Get way back. We're going to cut all the way down. Get way back.
And there's a man up in the...
Watch your arm. Where's your arm? Yeah.
What? Yes. They're trying to cut open the toilet so this guy can get out. How did he get in? I don't know. Where is he? I mean, the porta john is only so big. Like, he is in there. He is in there. You can't see his hand, but it's sticking out right now. And they're trying to convince him to just put your head out. Put your head out, we'll pull you out. He's like, I can't. I mean, that's real, right? How did he get in there? I mean, I'd like to get a view from behind this thing, and they never really show him completely getting pulled out, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd let it roll. But he is actually in that toilet right there. How in the world?
Scott, when you think you've had a bad day, just reflect back on this guy.
Exactly, Tim. I'm my producer. Right? If you think you've had a bad day, right, just think about this guy. Did he crawl in? If he did, who the hell would crawl into a toilet? You know, those porta john toilets are filthy. I mean, filthy. And he's like inside. Like, how is that possible? Is there a panel behind it or to the side of it that he went inside the panel and maybe slipped and fell in? It's mind-boggling. I don't know if you can see the hand here because it's a black guy, so the hand is kind of get shadowed out. But later on, the whole thing goes like 3.5 minutes. I won't play the whole thing because they don't show him being pulled out. They just are talking to him, telling him, "Put your head out, put your head out," and he's saying, "I can't." That is, like, right? That's not AI. That's a real. That's real, right? I mean, some of these AI things look as real can be, but I got it from a site that had like emergency ER or something stupid like that. 2 million followers, so I think it's legit. I mean, it just wow. And they're yelling at him, "Put your head out of the toilet." He says, I can't. He's swearing he can't. Oh my goodness. You think you think you had a bad day. You're right, Tim. I mean, what was he doing? I don't know. I got to Google it. It was on Breaking 911. Like I said, 2 million followers. So not that they can't have phony stories on there, but how the hell he got in, I don't know. Just like with the the grandpa who got flipped in the air. Eventually, they're going to get this guy out, right? And we'll get his side of the story and figure out what he did. I mean, that's beyond funny. That's like, are you serious? You got stuck in a filthy, dirty, awful toilet. What are you doing, brother? What are you doing? So, anyway, what do we got here? Any our guy Mick, and don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe and like button, and then you can converse back and forth and you can be part of the show here. As our guy Mick did, who says, let me just move the screen over here. There aren't a lot of players that can keep up the killer instinct, have a family life, and keep winning for extended years like Jack Nicklaus. That's why he was the best. Okay, we're talking about Scotty Scheffler. And that might be it. You know what, Mick? That might be it. Listen, we got all the money in the world. You don't need to go out. You wonder why the Jordan Spieths of the world, can still play, but not play at the level that they once were, winning championships and stuff. And, that might be it. I mean, you got, like I said, you got millions and millions and millions of dollars from the tournaments you win, and then the millions of dollars from endorsements. And it's like, do I want to be out on a golf course 8 hours a day, sweating to death? No, I'd be home with the family, cooking a barbecue, go and see my kids play sports or whatever they may be doing in school and stuff. Yeah, it's not easy being at that level, right? And, would have hoped that Scheffler would have been able to keep that level for a little bit longer. That's all. But apparently not. He's got some, he's got some issues. He really does. And if he can't handle life now, being a multi-gazillionaire and at the top of his game, what's going to happen 10 years from now when he's not at the top of his game? Maybe he'll, like I said earlier, maybe he'll appreciate it a little bit more. But, if you can't appreciate being, the best golfer in the world, bar none, if that doesn't bring you happiness, then I don't know what to tell you. I really, really don't. So, anything else? It's kind of funny in a strange sort of way. I don't know if I sent this one to my producer. No. Andre Iguodala said the same thing. He was talking about college basketball and college football players and all the NIL deals and basically just saying everything that we've all been saying. Talking about the portal and the NCAA and the NIL. It says these kids are missing resilience, accountability, constructive criticism in the formative years of their lives. They're basically spoiled brats. And if they don't, like what's going on, they're just going to transfer to another school and they'll take their money with them. And you get spoiled when you're that rich and you have so much money. And that's like I said, that might be the same thing with Scotty Scheffler. So we got Trump speaking tonight. It's going to be interesting. He's sitting on a bombshell. Supposedly, he's going to say that the Chinese meddled in the elections during his speech tonight back in 2020. So, I'm a Trump guy, but man, these guys picking more fights and just won't let things go. So we'll see what he has to say. We'll talk maybe a little bit about that tomorrow. So, but we got all the texts in. Let me check the emails here. We do get some guys that like to email me, which is perfectly fine. I got a whole bunch, but no, none of those. Let's just check the headlines here and see if anything else crazy is going on. LeBron says he's not ready to reveal his next team. Well, what a piece of trash. He's such a dope. He's going to be on some podcast later on today. So, a Fanatics Fest. So people were suggesting that maybe, just maybe, that's when he would reveal where he's going next year. I told you, this is not happening before next Monday or Tuesday, 2021. That's where, he knows where he's going. He's just going to milk this as long as he possibly. He's such an egomaniac. He just can't give up all the attention. He just can't. It's amazing. You can't sit there and tell me with his straight face that he doesn't know where he's going right now. So, anyone expecting to, I'm surprised he would make that announcement that he's not going to make the announcement because less people will tune in for sure. So it's just crazy. NHL revealed their whole season. We'll take a peek at that tomorrow. See what we can find some of the better matchups. Chase Burns and the Reds, 7-year, $105 million extension. You do have a baseball game tonight. Mets and Philadelphia Phillies. I thought this was a rain out, but it's actually no. This is on their schedule. Major League Baseball. They don't play tomorrow. So the Mets and Phillies have to start their second half of the season a night earlier than everybody else. They wanted a standalone game. Another way for them to make money. Simple as that. So there's no more reason to just, instead of just having them start on a Friday, it's not the worst thing in the world as a fan. At least you have one game. It would have been nice to have maybe a 10 o'clock game for the West Coast folks. But this was not a rain out or rescheduled game. No, this is how it was. Mets and Phillies today. I looked it up. MLB wants a standalone game, make their money, get all the eyeballs. I mean, Mets, really? How many people are going out of the way to watch the Mets? Nice try, Major League Baseball, but I don't think too many people in Mets 17 games under 500 are going out of the way to watch that thing tonight. But that's why you do have that for those that were wondering. WNBA, New York and Dallas got postponed. Game was supposed to be in Dallas. Not exactly sure why that's the case. Let me Google that real quickly. That's interesting. That's an indoor game, obviously. Why was New York versus Dallas WNBA canceled today? AI said the travel delays caused by mechanical issues at the Liberty's charter flight. Yeah, that would, that's the WNBA for you. They're going to travel the night before the game. You can't do that. You got to travel the day before. Or they're going to travel today, but you can't do that. You got to travel the night before. This is why NFL teams have to be in there by Friday night. So rescheduled to next Monday. Postponed because of mechanical issues. Well, good thing they found out about that, huh? Jeez. All right, that'll do it for us. Real check quick of the Twitter world. Anything crazy going on? Don't think so. Check out my boy Lisi, Go for the Two. At Go for the Two for his podcast with him and Mike Carver, good guy. And that's about it. So, photo surfacing appears to show LeBron James enrolling his child in a Philadelphia school. Again, all this stuff is just leaked out. Just leaked out. It's just amazing. So, anyway, enjoy the rest of your Thursday, folks. Be safe. Don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Go to fanstreamsports.com, fanstreamsports.com for all the other shows that we've done and all the other shows that are on the network. And feel free to listen in on all those. So, otherwise, we'll talk to you tomorrow right here, Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern on FanStream Sports. Be safe, and we'll talk to you then.